Tonight on Lost Gear, I reverse into a mod shop, assault the casino valet, and compete in an illegal street race. In some of the earlier Lost Gear episodes, we've already looked at what is the fastest Stinker Jester or at what is the fastest Vapid Dominator. Today we want to look at some more petrolheads' favorite cars. Today we're testing Karin Sultan Series with 4 very popular cars. Tonight we will be taking a look at the standard Karin Sultan and of course at the Karin Sultan Classic. And the best thing is, these two exist in a high performance sport version as well. The Karin Sultan RS for the standard Sultan, which we have already seen in our Princess Robot Bubblegum car test, and then of course there's the legendary Sultan RS Classic, most commonly known for its great success in rallying. As usual, we're going to look at the prices first. The standard Karin Sultan actually is a huge bargain as it only costs $12,000. This might be the cheapest car we ever had featured here. For its sport version, the Sultan RS, you need a standard Sultan and can upgrade to the RS for $795,000, making it just over 800k in total. This is slightly more expensive. Unfortunately, the Sultan Classic isn't nearly as cheap as the more modern Sultan, with its absolutely mad price of $1,718,000, although you can get an almost $500,000 cheaper trade price for robbing the casino with this car, which you still probably need to do multiple times to afford this one. Not that I'm encouraging you to do so. And finally, and also most expensively, we have the Sultan RS Classic, which is almost 1.8 million, and for this one you can also get a trade price reduction of little less than $500,000 if you're popular with the LS car meet. These might be the most rude prices I have ever seen in this series. Well, and if you want to unlock the trade price for the RS Classic, you should impress at the car meet with your brand new Sultans, but which one is the best to do so? We'll now be taking a look at customization options, starting again with the standard Sultan. This one has a little bit more than the standard options available for every car, but really not much. But hey, it's only 12k, what do you expect? Its classic version offers a pretty good variety of customization options, especially for the exterior. This is very good for a car that is neither a tuner or from Benny's original motorworks. The Sultan RS, being a Benny's car, obviously has an amazing variety of customization options both for the interior and the exterior, which means full marks for it here, and of course so does the RS Classic, which is a tuner subclass car and therefore offers great customizability in pretty much every aspect of the car as well. Spot on for both the Sultan RS and the Sultan RS Classic. Now, all of these cars pretty much scream illegal street racing just by looking at them, so let's see which one is the best to use in a point-to-point race where being hunted down by the local law enforcement. Well, I can tell you quite easily which one is the best, which is the Sultan RS Classic, because you can't use any of the other 3 in these kind of races. What a terrible disappointment. Nevertheless, we won't let us bring down by that. We want to do our final test of this episode before reaching a conclusion of which Sultan actually is the best. And it will definitely not be Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah of Brunei, who reinstated the death penalty by stoning in 2014. How very progressive of him. Anyways, let's take our 4 cars to our Ford Zancudo test track and see which one of them is fastest. And here we are on our Ford Zancudo test track. On the top left you see the regular Sultan, top right Sultan Classic, bottom left Sultan RS, and bottom right Sultan RS Classic. I know it's a little bit confusing because they all sound so similar, but we will get through this. And out of the first corner we go, and it's already apparent that the regular Sultan is very slow, as it is already significantly behind. And interestingly, The Sultan Classic and the Sultan RS Classic, both the older cars, seem to gain a little bit of an advantage over the more modern ones. The Sultan RS also a little bit behind the other two. And now in this technical bit, it seems like the Sultan RS Classic is gaining a little bit of an advantage over the Sultan Classic as well. You see these two battling for P1 on the right half of the screen right now. And it is pretty close, but it looks good for the Sultan RS Classic to carry its advantage into the finish line. Now, through the final corner we go, and it kept its lead going out of the final corner. Sultan RS Classic ahead of the Sultan Classic, ahead of the Sultan RS, ahead of the regular Sultan. And let's see where this puts our cars on our Lost Gear Hall of Fame. No changes on the top. We did kind of expect that. We have to go to page 3, which is actually quite good for these cars. And we see the Sultan RS Classic slightly beaten by the 8F Drafter, but it is there or thereabout with the top sports cars. And actually it is the fastest tuner car that we've seen so far. It has beaten the previous best, which is the Calico GTF, which we'll see on this page. And there is the Sultan Classic as well. And it is right there with all of these Japanese cars that are in the 1:12 area in terms of lap time, which is astonishing because there's just so many of them. It split the Jesters actually, so this is kind of funny. On the next page we see the Sultan RS, which is kind of disappointing for a super sports car. Even slower than the Voltic, which did kind of disappoint us as well in our electric vehicle car test. And last, on the next page, we will see the Karin Sultan, and well, not a terrible time actually for a car that is just 12k, so bear that in mind. And now let's look at our total scoreboard of this episode, which actually is the best Sultan, and well, it is hard to answer that, because as you can see, total points wise, they're all pretty close. So probably it depends on what do you want from the car. If you want a cheap car, well, obviously take the Sultan. If you want a fast car, take the Sultan Classic or the Sultan RS Classic. That is, if you don't care about money. If you want a nice mixture in between this, the Sultan RS is probably the best call. And what do we take from that? Well, once again we have proven that newer doesn't automatically mean better. And on that wisdom we end our show. Thank you so much for watching, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe and check out the Lost Gear playlist if you want to see more. Also, don't forget to leave a comment with which cars you want to see next. Until then, goodbye.